नमस्कार फ्रेंड, आप सभी का स्वागत है। और इस वीडियो के पार्ट 2 में जो अदर एजेंडा हैं जिसको टीम AIBPRC ने IBA ऑफिसर्स की मीटिंग में टेकअप किया था, उसमें एजेंडा नंबर 2 100% DA neutralization to pre-November 2002 retirees. On 100% DA neutralization for pre-November 2002 retirees, we submitted the copy of the relevant extract of the bipartite settlement to make home the point that there was no discrimination in between the pre and post November 2002 retirees. As regards date of implementation, any subsequent advice to banks by IBA not being substantiated by the settlement has little value in the eye of law, notwithstanding Honorable Supreme Court judgment. We explained the rationale or otherwise of the judgment and the need to objectively read the judgment. We further argued that the recommendation sent by IBA to the government has not been turned down, but certain clarifications have been sought for IBA should reopen the chapter with clarification and recommendation to the union government. We also brought to the notice of IBA that because of the enormous and the inhuman delay, nearly 50% of the original beneficiaries have left the world and in a high time to act upon. Views of IBA. The officials observed that certain clarification had been sought by the Government of India and the same was being provided. Agenda number 3. The Group Medical Insurance Scheme for Bank Retirees. On Group Medical Insurance Scheme for Bank Retirees, we started the discussion by the submission of the Government of India guidelines issued to IBA in the year 2012 for framing a suitable policy for the retirees and serving employees where there was no such advice as to the payment of premium by the bank retirees. The financial burden has been constantly increasing every year and it has now been a nightmare. This is a cruel joke and the burden is beyond the affordable limit. True to our known stand in this regard, we demanded that the premium is to be paid by banks only and in cases of serving employees and the retired MDs and EDs. Views of IBA. The official observed that they were also seized with the problem. Following the guidelines of Government of India and IBA, the tendering process was conducted and the lowest bidder was selected. Different serving organizations have also asked how different state-owned companies were offering lower rates. The said companies were also contacted by IBA and they confirmed that any reduction in premium was possible only when some compromise on the quality of the insurance coverage was done. As the views of the two sides could not reach any unanimity, we demanded full disbursement since the letter of Government of India to IBA in the year 2012 did not spell out anything about sharing of the premium by the retirees. Third item, agenda of number 4, a special allowance to be knocked for superannuation benefit. The views placed by AIBPRC agenda. We argued that it was not being paid to specialized persons for doing a specialized job. It was an allowance of the general nature attracting dearness allowance and it was paid even for the leaves, holidays and the leave encashment. In fact, it was a confligate basic pay which must reckon for the calculation of superannuation benefits, pension and gratuity. The 10th and 11th bipartite settlement on the contrary were ultra vires and be modified. Views of IBA. This has been agreed upon the both the parties in bipartite settlement, joint note, and this is not possible for IBA to change anything unilaterally. At this stage, the leadership of AIBPRC contended that there had been judgment of the court on a similar situation, and it was high time to IBA to have a relook into the issue. Agenda 5. Improvement of ex gratia to pre-86 retirees. The views of AIBPARC have been placed as under. We argued that it was an inhuman cruelty to a handful of surviving retirees and surviving spouses, mostly to the live a substandard life. When some of the banks have unilaterally revised the rate, there is no point in IBAs not coming forward with a uniform guidelines to all member banks to make an honorable upward hike of the ex gratia payable to the pre-1986 surviving retirees and spouses. Views of IBA. The official of IBA exhibited their sincere concern to us and assured at an early favorable resolution. Agenda number 6. One more option to the pensioner for all eligible retirees. We argued that the apex court has already allowed the opportunity to some such resignee while the benefit has not been extended to the similarly placed persons. IBA should extend the similar opportunity to the affected persons whose number was also very few and save the senior citizen from being engaged in prolonged legal battles involving money and time, that too in process negotiating the provisions of the senior citizens legislation policy of the Government of India. Views of IBA. The officials informed that the IBA had taken a view in this regard that no option would be allowed to such officials since they tender resignation with full knowledge of the consequences if any favorable judgment is received by any such person. IBA will be acting upon it. AIBPARC contended that there had been instances in past when IBA took legal opinion on a particular court verdict and extended the benefits to similarly placed persons. Same process may be followed. It was also pointed out that in the service regulations of the officers in several banks, the provisions of the voluntary retirement was not there and person under compulsive situation had to tender resignation. The issue needs an immediate and considerate relook as a group of 20 such resignees of Vijaya Bank who were extended pension option as they won the case in the Honorable Supreme Court. Friends, agenda number 7. Consultative status of the retiree organization. The views of AIBPARC on those issues were placed as under. इस बारे में और on consultative status of the bank pensioner and retiree organization, we argued that it was at the instances of the government of IBA asked all member banks to form a grievance redressal machinery at corporate level of each bank. But when it come to IBA itself, some peculiar logic was advocated, saying that it did not have the mandate from banks to negotiate with the retiree organization. This is an anomalous situation by itself. We demanded that the ongoing exercise at individual bank corporate level should be done at IBA level also with apex level retiree organization, and negotiation status of the retiree organization should be given who form by themselves a separate and large homogeneous group. View of IBA. The officials of IBA contended that they formally discussed with the constituents of UAB since the member bank gave authority to IBA in this regard, but there was no such authority in respect of the pensioner and the retiree organization. AIBPARC contended that the member banks do what they are asked to do, as IBA has been responsive enough to call us for discussion this time. The same process should be followed at periodic intervals for all affiliate-based organizations of the pensioners. The retirees are the large homogeneous group by themselves, and any civilized standard of social norms cannot deny the right to be heard, more particularly to the senior citizens. In the last para, sir, this is well within the knowledge that we had the opportunity of meeting the Honorable Union Finance Minister at her office on 4th October and discussed all the issues referred above. We had a very proactive response from the Honorable Finance Minister. The meeting with IBA in quick succession is a testimony of her assurances and concern. We have a sincere belief that this decision will be quicker and action will be faster, as the time of the disposal of retirees is short by the rule of nature. They cannot wait indefinitely for the resolution of their rightful claims. We also fervently hope that the IBA will take upon the responsibility of translating the wishes of the Honorable Finance Minister in extending the comfort of treating its former employee as a member of the same family and resolve the long pending issues of the bank pensioner and retirees with a great sense of urgency. With kind regards, KB Acharya and Suprita Sarkar. फ्रेंड्स, इसकी मैं लिंक दूंगा। इस सर्कुलर को आप डिटेल में पढ़ना चाहें तो पढ़ सकते हैं उस लिंक के माध्यम से। थैंक यू फ्रेंड्स।